Hey guys, welcome to this new FrontEnd Mentor tutorial. Today we're going to be doing the QR code from FrontEnd Mentor. This is quite a popular challenge. It's free, it's with HTML and CSS, and it's a newbie one, so it's moderately easy, but there's still some things that can trip us up. So let's take a look at what the final design looks like. Okay, so as you can see, it's this card here with this QR code, and it's not too complicated. This design, thankfully, we don't have to worry about responsiveness too much because the layout basically looks the same on desktop as it does on mobile. So let's take a look at the files here given to us. So we've got our index.html. By the way, these are files that I've taken from the download assets on FrontEnd Mentor. I just downloaded the starter. So here's what we have. We have the index.html. We've got these design files here, so we can look at the design. I'm going to be looking at it here on this split screen. We've got the images. So we actually have the image of the QR code. So that makes our life simpler. We've got the favicon, which is this what you see at the top here by FrontEnd Mentor. That's the little logo by the website. We've got a preview of what it's going to look like. We've got a README, so you guys can check out these READMEs. And we've got, most importantly, this style guide. So this style guide is going to tell us what kind of fonts are used here. So we can see the outfit font is used. We're going to see what size they're doing here. So this font size 15 pixels. We're going to see what colors are being used here. All right, so let's start with our index.html. I'm going to just see what this looks like live. Okay, so this is what it looks like live. As you can see, not a lot of text. We've got the attribution here. So I'm just going to get rid of this attribution for the sake of this video because we don't need it. So let's just get rid of that attribution. And what do we have to start with? We got to start by linking our style sheet. So how do we do that? We do link and then CSS. All right, so that's going to link a style sheet and a style.css. So I'm going to create a new file here in my, not in images, but in my folder. I'm going to create a new file, style.css. Okay, it's simplest to just name it style.css because my Emmet link CSS has created this style.css. So let's check that's working. So I'm going to use I'm going to just write HTML. I'm going to change the background color to check that I've got all of this set up correctly. Okay, save. All right, I have to save this as well where I've just added my style sheet. And as you can see, the page changes to red. So that means everything is correctly set up. Okay, so we can get rid of that. We can comment it out by pressing Ctrl/, and we can take a look here at how we're going to do this. All right, so when we look at the QR code, we can see we've got a title and underneath we've got a description. So how are we going to do this? Well, I've got an image, I've got a title, and I've got a description, and I've got this container. So in the body, I'm going to create a container by going to View, Command Palette, Emmet Wrap with abbreviation, and I'm going to create a div, and I'm going to write div.container. Okay, this is going to be, let me spell container correctly, container. And we can do container QR code, so it makes sense what it is. Container QR code. So this is going to be the actual card. Okay, we can actually name it, maybe container isn't too intuitive. We'll name it card QR code. Okay, so this is going to be the actual card on the website. Then the next thing I'm going to do is have an image. So I'm going to write image dot. And by the way, before I used Emmet, and Emmet is really easy because you can just fully kind of, you can wrap this text that's already here without having to rewrite it. Okay, so I really like using Emmet abbreviations because it makes writing the code quicker. And we can do that also when doing the image tag. So we can just write img dot, and then you can see Emmet abbreviation shows up here. That's what we're doing in Emmet abbreviation. We can write img dot, and then what is this image? It's the QR code image. So that's what we can name the class. And here we're going to get the file path. The src is the file path. So we're going to go to our images folder, and we're going to go to image QR code.png, and let's see what that's showing up as, by the way. Save. Okay, you can see our QR code is showing up here. Here in our CSS, we can save this because we don't need this background color red anymore. Okay, and then the alternate text, what we're going to write? We can write this is an image of a QR code. The alt text is important for accessibility, okay? So people who are using screen readers can see that this is a QR code image. Okay, here I'm gonna again go to View, Command Palette, and I'm gonna use a heading for this one. So I'm gonna use a H1, I'm gonna say dot, and I'm gonna say card heading. Okay, so it's very intuitive what this is, card heading. By the way, you can name your classes whatever you like and whatever is intuitive for you. But just bear in mind that if you're practicing these skills because you later want to be a developer or you want to be working with other people, try as much as possible to make your CSS class names something that's intuitive so that other people who are reading your code understand what's going on. So here we've got card heading as our H1 class, and here I'm gonna create a paragraph. So the reason why I'm creating a paragraph here, so that's with the P abbreviation instead of div, is because div could work as well, but div is more for creating containers. P is actually going to give the web and our code some more structure by letting this know that it's a paragraph or that it's text instead of doing a div, okay? So you can do it in div, but that's not really the best way to do it semantically to create correct semantic HTML. And semantic HTML means HTML that's good for the browser, that's good for SEO, and that's just in general properly structured. So instead I'm going to use P, and I'm going to write card subtitle, okay? So we've got card subtitle. Okay, we can save these, we can see this is applying some default styling here to that, which is okay. You can see this scan QR code, and you can see we've got this huge QR code here. Okay, so what do we have to do? What are some things we're gonna do? Okay, so we're gonna go into our style.css. The first thing I'm gonna do is to my body, I'm gonna apply a display of grid. Now, the reason why I'm applying a display of grid here is because what I'm going to do in a second is I'm going to place content center. Now, you're going to understand why I'm doing this in a second, but basically it's going to shift along all of our content to the center, and that's how we're going to achieve this card that's placed in the center. All right, so this is a really easy way to just shift all of our content so that it's in the middle of the page by doing this display and place content center. Next, we're going to do our card QR code class, which is our card container. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply a fixed width to this container. So I have a feeling that this container is going to be max width. So I'm going to apply max width instead of adding width, which is fixed, which is not responsive. In this case, it wouldn't be a mistake because this isn't a design that will be responsive. It's not going to change for mobile and desktop sizes like other designs, but it's still better to use max width in most cases because this actually does allow for some changes. I don't want to do 30 pixels, I want to do 320 pixels. Okay, so as you can see, this QR code image is still huge, but this text has changed and it's gotten smaller, okay? It's 320 pixels. So next what we're going to do is we're going to style this image. So we named this QR code image. So we're going to do dot QR code image, and we're going to set this as a width of 100%. And what this has done, this width of 100%, is this is accommodating the parent. Okay, so what does that mean? The parent component here is card QR code. The children is these things inside of this div. Okay, so it's the image, the heading, the paragraph. Okay, so the image is a child of this parent. So this width, okay, that's going to apply to the child. When I say 100%, it's going to be accommodating this 320 pixels. It's not going to be going bigger than that. It's not going to be going to the whole website because that's not its parent. The parent is card QR code, okay, for this QR code image. So that's why the width 100% is doing what it's doing here right now. Okay, let's take a look and see what that is. Okay, here I'm going to do on my body a height of 100%. Okay, that actually hasn't made a difference. Anyway, never mind. We're going to do a height of 100%. we're going to just add here to our card.qr code, we're going to add a margin top because we don't want it to be flush right on the top here. So we're going to add a margin top of 5 rem and see what that does. Okay, we want a larger margin top, so we'll do a top of 10 rem. I use 10 rem instead of pixels because it's kind of a habit I've gotten into. 10 rem is 160 pixels, 1 rem is 16 pixels. The reason why I've gotten into this habit is just because it's going to, rem is more responsive, so especially with things like font size. So that's why we're using rem here. By the way, I thought that by placing a height of 100% on our body, this would move this card downwards because it would kind of place it right in the center, but for some reason it hasn't done that. So we're not going to worry. Not to worry, we'll move on. And we'll take a look at what here we have to start. So we can see that the size of our heading and of our subtitle are wrong. So we can style that in a second. But what we want to do here is we want to change the background color and the color of this card. So the card QR code, what we're going to do is we're going to do a background color of, pretty sure it's white. So we're going to take this from the style guide and we're going to copy that in. So white. Now you can't see any difference to it because the background is not changed. So we're going to go to this body and we're going to do background color. And what color is this? I think it's Slate 300. Sometimes it can be a bit unclear on these front-end mentor tutorials what colors which. Okay, as you can see, now we can see the contrast, we can see the difference, but this is still looking off because there's no padding. Padding is what's going to provide us with a bit of a border here, as you can see, right? So there's no padding, so it looks a bit off. So there's quite a small padding, so we're going to do padding of 0.5 rem or otherwise 8 pixels. That's looking way too small, so we're going to do 1 rem. Okay, that looks correct to me. What here do we need to change as well? Well, for me, this is looking a little bit too big, so I'm going to change this to 3. Oh, sorry. We're going to change this max width to, my bad, pressing the wrong buttons on my keyboard. I'm going to change that to 300 pixels. And I'm going to also add here a border radius. Okay, so this is going to add some curved edges because we want our card to have curved edges. It's going to look a lot better. So we're going to do border radius, and border radius accepts a lot of different types of units. As you can see here, we can do percentages like this, 10%, but as you can see, that's way too strong. I usually do mine in rem. So I'm going to do 2 rem. I'm going to see that that's too strong. So we're going to do 1 rem. 1 rem to me looks correct because it's quite just a faint border radius here. All right. So let's do a border radius as well for the card inside, for the image, because we can see that that image also has a border radius, and I think it's the exact same border radius as the card, but we'll see, it may be different. Actually, I think I might do a slightly fainter one here. Yeah, I'm going to do 0.5 rem on the QR code image inside. Okay, and now let's move on to the headings and the description. We're nearly done with this, by the way. This is going quite quickly and with not a lot of code, which is great. All right, let's do these headings. So let's go to my index. Okay, I've named the title card heading. That's pretty easy and intuitive to remember, card heading. What are we going to do the font size? I think the font size might be 1.5 rem. Okay, 1 rem would be 16 pixels. Okay, we've changed this to 1.5 rem. That looks pretty correct to me. But as you can see, the text is on the left. We want the text to be centered. So what are we going to do? Text align center. Okay, that looks a lot better. It looks to be aligned to the center now. And we're going to do, we're going to style as well, whilst we're at it, we're going to style the card subtitle.card subtitle. And we're going to do also a text align of center. Okay, that looks a lot better. And we're going to change the font size. So the font size that they've provided there is 15 pixels. So we're going to go to pixels to rem. We're going to see what 15 pixels is. Okay, that's 0.93 rem, 938 rem, 0.938 rem. And by the way, guys, it's important that you use rem for font size, especially because when somebody, for example, who has dyslexia or, various accessibility, but let's take it, for example, someone who has a dyslexia or poor vision, they can change their browser so that the font size is larger. Okay, they can change for every single website, the font size is larger. And if the font size is not in rem, but it's in pixels, it's hard coded, which means whatever value you give here, it won't change. Okay, so you want to do it in rem because that's best practice for accessibility. Okay, that's better practice than putting it in pixels. So it's quite easy to convert pixels to rem. So I highly encourage you to do that so that you're correctly doing the styling. Okay, so something that I've noticed here is that this is like narrower, if that makes sense. Like this here is balanced in a different way. Like you can see this is taking up 3 lines and this is taking up 2 lines. And like I may be being pedantic about that. And that may be something that you don't particularly pay attention to, which is completely valid. But I'm looking at it and I want to change that to a width of 80%. And that's kind of messing it up right now a little bit. So I'm going to try and align this in the center and see if that fixes the situation. And it's not fixing it, which is not great. Let's see if we can fix it with place content or justify self. Okay, by doing justify self, align items is incorrect because that was working, I'm pretty sure, on the vertical side. But by doing justify self, because we've got this display grid on the body, we can basically align this using things like justify self or align self. So I'm pretty sure justify self is on the horizontal axis and align is on the vertical axis. So what I was doing before with align was basically doing this on the vertical axis, and when I've just done justify, it's done it on the horizontal axis, which is why it worked correctly. As you can see, by doing a width of 80%, that's made it be on 3 lines. Wait, I zoomed in a bit too much here. Here you can see it's on 3 lines, and this is on 3 lines. But as you can see, the font, like the font type of font is incorrect. We've got this default font here, and in the style guide we've got the font of outfit. So let's take a look at this font on Google Fonts and implement it in our code. So we're going to write get font. I'm going to cancel the one that I have before. I'm going to get the embed code. We've got a link, we've got an embed code in the head of our HTML. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go to the head of my HTML. I'm going to do that. I'm just going to copy, save. Okay, then we have the outfit font available. So I'm going to go to my style. Because there's only one font for the whole website, for the whole design, we don't have to specify them for any sort of specific class. We can just do it on a whole body. So this is going to apply to every single piece of text, but that doesn't matter because everything is outfit, so it doesn't make a difference. Okay, here in our style guide, we've got different weights. We've got the weight 400 and 700. So I have a feeling that the card heading is a font weight of 700. So I'm going to save. And I have a feeling that this is a font weight of 400. I'm going to save that. Okay, so font weight is going to be influencing how bold something is presenting itself as. So as you can see, the heading is quite bold. The font is quite thick. So that's why it has a higher weight. And then the smaller weight is for font that's less thick. Okay, now the last thing that we have to do is just change the colors here of our font. To change the color of a font, we do color. Instead of background color changes the background color of something, color changes the font, which is kind of confusing. When I first started learning CSS, I found that to be confusing. Okay, so this more faint color is for the description. Okay, looking correct. And this is for the heading. Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Save. And all right, guys, we've got our card. All right. I'm going to inspect this. As you can see, it is responsive. So we can see that this is a very narrow viewport. And then if I expand this, wait, let me go full screen. If I expand this, as you can see, it's always staying in the center because of that place content center in the body. So yeah, this is great. This is a really nice, fun little project to do. Guys, I hope this video has helped you. The files for GitHub will be linked down below in the description, as well as the files to find this FrontEnd Mentor project. And I hope you enjoyed. All right, thank you. See you next video. If you liked this, please subscribe, like, give me some comments. I'm really trying to grow my channel and I'm loving doing these videos so far for you guys. So thank you. Goodbye.